600 miles off the coast of South America, rising violently from the depths of the Pacific Ocean, lies a volcanic archipelago, born of fire and forged by the unforgiving sea, the Galapagos Islands. Here, at the very edge of the world, life does not simply exist. It endures, it adapts, it conquers. As the first pale light of dawn pierces the thick, rolling morning mist, the jagged black basalt coastlines of the Galapagos Marine Reserve begin to stir. It is 5 o'clock in the morning. The air is bitterly cold, swept by a relentless coastal wind that carries the salt and the spray of the crashing waves. In this primordial landscape, the rules of nature are rewritten. Clinging to the cold volcanic rock, an anomaly of evolution awakens. The marine iguana, the world's only ocean-going lizard. Overnight, their body temperatures have plummeted, leaving them sluggish and highly vulnerable. Hundreds of them huddle together in dense colonies, sharing whatever residual body heat they can muster. Around them, the vibrant, bright red Sally Lightfoot crabs scuttle across the damp stones, beginning their endless task of scavenging the shoreline. They are the tireless custodians of this harsh volcanic rock reef. As the mist begins to lift, the coastal inlet echoes with the gentle groans of awakening giants. Galapagos sea lions rouse themselves from the sandy volcanic beaches. A mother softly nurses her pup, offering rich, fatty milk to sustain the young against the freezing oceanic currents they will soon face. Above them, a solitary brown pelican glides gracefully through the overcast dawn sky, its massive wings beating in a slow, hypnotic rhythm, scouting the churning waters below for the first meal of the day. But it is at the water's edge where the true anomalies of this ecosystem reveal themselves. Standing perfectly still on a submerged rock, a Galapagos penguin shakes the cold morning water from its dense, waterproof feathers. To find equatorial penguins living in this environment seems an impossibility, a biological paradox. Yet they thrive here, sustained by the freezing nutrient upwelling of the Cromwell Current that bathes these islands in an oasis of life for these endemic species. They share this crystal-clear, shallow volcanic tide pool with the marine iguanas, who now face a deadly choice. Driven by a highly specialized diet, these terrestrial reptiles must leave the safety of the dry basalt and plunge into the freezing ocean to graze on submerged green and red algae. They slip into the water, transforming from sluggish land dwellers into serpentine aquatic torpedoes. Further down the reef wall, ancient Galapagos green turtles glide through the morning currents, their smooth shells parting the water with effortless grace. While deep below, the steep underwater volcanic drop-off edge plunges vertically into absolute blackness. By mid-morning, the bright, diffused daylight fully illuminates the pelagic zone just off the reef, bringing with it a dramatic surge in energy. The marine ecosystem is now fully awake and pulsing with vitality. In the shallow feeding grounds, the marine iguanas are hard at work, anchoring themselves against the immense power of the ocean swells. With specially adapted razor-sharp claws, they relentlessly scrape algae from the stones with their short, conical teeth. It is a frantic harvest. They cannot stay submerged for long before the freezing waters sap their core temperature entirely. Sharing this vibrant underwater world, small schools of delicate razor surgeonfish flutter safely within the gentle currents, their bright colors a stark contrast to the dark volcanic stone. Deeper down, along the sandy ocean floor among the rocks, strange and wondrous benthic creatures begin their daily routines. A delicate Pacific seahorse sways gently, perfectly camouflaged against a strand of deep-sea kelp, independently swiveling its eyes to monitor the water column. Not far away, a bizarre red-lipped batfish clumsily walks across the sand, using its highly modified pectoral fins, having abandoned the graceful art of swimming entirely to become highly specialized benthic foragers. Out in the vast blue expanse bordering the reef, the scale of life magnifies to an incomprehensible degree. A Galapagos sea lion transforms into a sleek hydrodynamic marvel, spinning like a torpedo as it hunts in the open water, utilizing this bustling oceanic highway. But even the agile sea lion is dwarfed by the arrival of true ocean monoliths. Appearing like a ghost from the deep blue gloom, a colossal whale shark slowly cruises through the water column. The largest fish in the world, it opens its enormous cavernous mouth to filter feed on the dense plankton blooms brought up by the deep upwelling currents. Its immense, slow, rhythmic pulsing creates a mesmerizing heartbeat for the entire ocean. Suddenly, the tranquility is shattered by blinding speed. A massive, shimmering school of yellowfin tuna darts perfectly in unison through the blue, changing direction instantaneously like a highly coordinated superorganism. Their presence signals a frenzy of hunting. Above the surface, a perfectly synchronized squadron of blue-footed boobies takes notice. Folding their wings back, they plummet from the sky like guided missiles, smashing through the ocean's surface with tremendous force to secure their prey in the churning, chaotic waters. Nearby, a flightless cormorant, having traded the gift of flight for unparalleled diving prowess, rockets down the sheer volcanic wall, effortlessly outmaneuvering its aquatic prey before returning to the surface to swallow its catch whole. As the clock strikes noon, the flat, natural midday light casts no shadows, and an oppressive, intense equatorial heat settles over the islands. The relentless sun bakes the jagged black lava rock, turning the shoreline into an inescapable oven. For the inhabitants of the Galapagos, the strategy for survival now shifts from hunting to enduring. High above the tide line, a vast, silent colony of Galapagos sea lions lies in a state of deep collective slumber on the sandy volcanic beach, their chests rising and falling in a heavy, unified rhythm. The marine iguanas, having survived the freezing ocean, now face the opposite extreme. They sprawl flat against the scorching basalt, absorbing the heat to re-warm their blood. To prevent their brains from literally overheating, they pant softly, exhaling excess thermal energy. Every so often, the silence is broken by a sharp, violent sneeze as an iguana forcefully expels highly concentrated ocean salt from its specialized nasal glands, a masterful evolutionary workaround to ocean toxicity and natural selection. In the deep shade of a jagged basalt spire, a Galapagos fur seal seeks a rare escape from the punishing sun, lazily scratching its thick coat. Space is limited, and survival here demands finding shelter from the relentless solar radiation. Beneath the waves, the midday lull brings an eerie, peaceful stillness to the deep blue ocean. On the white sandy bottom of the seafloor, sea lions rest entirely motionless, using negative buoyancy to sink silently into the cool depths. In the pelagic zone, an alien-like mola mola, or ocean sunfish, hovers vertically in a trance-like state, inviting vibrant king angelfish to carefully pick microscopic parasites from its rough skin in a vital act of symbiotic cleaning. Even the terrifying jaws of a moray eel remain hidden within the dark holes of the rocky reef wall, rhythmically pumping water over its gills in patient silence as the long, hot hours drag on. As the afternoon progresses and the harsh glare softens into warm, fading, diffused daylight, the tide begins to shift. A cooling breeze rolls over the desolate volcanic landscape, breaking the oppressive heat. The ecosystem slowly stirs back to life. It is time for the second and final hunt of the day. Galapagos penguins plunge flawlessly from the high volcanic rocks directly into the rising white foam, eager to hunt the cooling currents. The massive Galapagos sea lions rouse themselves, violently shaking the dry sand from their fur before galloping powerfully back toward the roaring surf. Underwater, the energy is frantic. The sea lions use the rocky ocean floor to aggressively pin and secure octopuses and struggling fish, while a graceful Galapagos fur seal spirals elegantly through a massive school of tiny silver baitfish, scattering the shimmering ball in all directions. But the return of activity also brings the return of danger. The sleek, muscular form of a Galapagos shark aggressively banks around a jagged underwater volcanic pillar, its highly tuned senses picking up the electric signals of struggling prey in the water. Exposed and vulnerable, a solitary marine iguana, ignoring the dangerous apex predators passing by, frantically tears red algae from the reef wall, driven purely by the desperate need to fuel its body before the long night begins. As the shadows stretch long across the shoreline, the inhabitants begin to secure their places for the evening. Flocks of brown pelicans backpedal their enormous wings to land clumsily on the high cliffs. A blue-footed booby meticulously displays its vibrant, bright blue webbed feet in a slow, deliberate mating dance against the golden hour light. The marine iguanas, heavy with fatigue, painfully drag their freezing bodies out of the ocean for the last time today, forming massive, dense piles on the large, flat rocks to conserve their collective body heat against the impending chill. The sun finally dips below the horizon, and the sky bleeds into dusty, muted orange and deep blue hues. Twilight descends upon the Galapagos Marine Reserve. Above the water, a profound silence falls. The desolate volcanic landscape stands tall and dark against the fading line of the horizon, battered only by the gentle howling wind and the distant crash of the Pacific swells. But beneath the surface, the ocean undergoes a dramatic and terrifying transformation. The diurnal creatures, the sea lions, the green turtles, the penguins, retreat or find safe harbor in the shallows. The deep blue water turns to an impenetrable, pitch-black abyss. Illuminated only by the very last faint rays of light, a stunning spotted eagle ray glides gracefully through the gloom, its massive spotted wings beating in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. The moray eel, free from the blinding daylight, fully exposes its serpentine body, slithering aggressively over the dead coral to stalk the sleeping reef inhabitants. Then, As the light fails entirely, the true masters of the twilight zone emerge from the freezing gloom. First, a single, unmistakable silhouette. A scalloped hammerhead shark. Its bizarre, wide-set eyes sweep the dark ocean, granting it unparalleled binocular vision and electromagnetic sensitivity. It is soon joined by another and another. Drawn by the powerful magnetic fields of the ancient volcanic islands, the solitary hunters begin to school together. In the fading light, they form a highly coordinated, terrifying apex squadron. The school swells, moving in perfect, relentless synchronicity through the freezing currents. Dozens become 100. The interwoven bodies and tails undulate powerfully side by side, inches apart, never once colliding in the absolute darkness. As the final breath of the day expires, an unfathomable, colossal wall of hundreds of scalloped hammerhead sharks completely blocks out what little light remains. They flow like a massive, terrifying river of muscle, a single, immense superorganism gliding silently and majestically into the deep unknown. Even the ancient sea turtles pause in the water column, dwarfed by the sheer, staggering scale of this migration. Their breathtaking procession complete, the hammerheads slowly fade entirely into the pitch-black Pacific abyss. The ultimate climax of the day concludes. The ecosystem resets. In the Galapagos, life is a beautiful, brutal cycle of endurance, a fragile, perfect balance of light and dark, heat and cold, predator and prey, continuing on forever at the very edge of the world. These hammerheads vanish into the deep oceanic highways, navigating by magnetic forces we are only just beginning to understand. But their journey leads directly into the treacherous midnight zones of Cocos Island. Discover what awaits them in the dark, right here.